Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Manino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. This is Michael Manino and Josh Kuchar from Fort Myers, Florida. He's with Showami.
Showami, you got this.
Showami. I can't do that. I am so sorry. Showami. And he's here to share his personal and business attributes for our listeners. And in your comments, if you guys have anything, just put it in the comments. We'd love to answer those for you. Okay. I'm Michael, Unscripted Success podcast, and let's hit it off with Josh. Guys, do me a favor. Tell everybody about yourself.
Hey guys, so yeah, my background is totally in marketing. I'm one of those marketing nerds that decided I would pull apart Google every inch and figure out what the heck is this algorithm all about and where are they heading? So how does that even remotely translate to what I do? Guys, I am the Chief Revenue Officer at Showami, as mentioned earlier. So since the very beginning, we utilized that sort of knowledge to grow Showami. I also happen to own, and occasionally we'll mention that throughout today's podcast, I also own a travel business with my wife in which we also utilize the same sort of techniques. But man, I will tell you, your audience is completely different for the two. And it's so much fun to learn about. And it's so much fun to dive into these businesses and exactly how they grew from we went from literally 2 agents at Showami to over 165,000. We've grown.
Whoa!
I know.
That's a huge one.
This went from part-time job to my wife is now able to do it full-time. So I've got lots of experience and I'm so excited to be able to share any and all of that with you guys. So
awesome.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. What the heck do you want to know?
Bingo. Yes, exactly.
You even want to know some random Google facts? I got tons of those for you.
Give me a random Google fact.
Sure. So most people don't know, but actually real estate agents in particular have their own style of Google. So Google My Profile has a very specific profile just built for them that allows them for specific ad styles that most people don't know about. So
give me a for instance of a style.
Yeah. So, and the same thing for lawn care, if you're in lawn care and a few others that require a license, what it is if somebody goes to search for your specific thing. So let's say it's a real estate agent in, I use Fort Myers. I'm from Fort Myers.
Right.
Then what happens is your profile picture will show up and it's a little sort of blurb about you. It's the only way that you're going to outrank Zillow as a real estate agent. So if you want that little bit of an edge, you go and create a very specific style of profile. And again, this isn't just for real estate agents. It's also for other licensed-based activity. I will say that unfortunately, we can't use it in the travel business, but in other businesses, you absolutely can.
Nice. Well, that was a great opener. We've had some openers with it. I'd have to say out of the podcast, it's one of the best. I love marketing also. I'm just not very good at it. I just like telling truth, and then people seem to follow that more than anything else. You have a great way of presenting it to people. That's absolutely awesome. I know there's a few companies that do what you do in your business, and what sets you apart? What makes you different from the others that aren't performing as well as you?
So one of the things that sort of separate us from them was very early on, we made the decision that we know who the clientele is going to be, and we want to be in front of them as quick as possible. So that really meant investing in a lot of SEO early on. So terms, I know it's really funny, but the very first blog that we ever sort of pushed out was Uber for realtors. Literally it just said Uber for realtors, and it has brought the ROI is insane. But what's even funnier is that, believe it or not, Uber actually had a real estate program and we outranked Uber on
really
for that very thing. It's these little sort of niche, not even niche, but you have to think about your consumer. What are they going to look for that and I always joke, like whatever you're gonna look for, if you're gonna Google search it, your wallet's already in your hand and you're gonna pay for it. You're right
Right.
there. It's right like at that point. And so we always made those sort of investments in that sort of thought, saying, where can we be where somebody's wallet's in hand and they're ready to pay? Where's the headache? So it was early on investing in Google and then going into Facebook groups whenever somebody would say, I need help with the showing, and saying, like, have you used us? Right? Because that was, believe it or not, Showami's number one and probably only competitor is Facebook. Believe I know
Really?
it sounds funny, but that's culturally how things were always done. And sort of swaying people away from this culture of posting on Facebook, your showing request or open house, and saying like it was more secure to go on Showami. You've got less of a headache because you weren't getting 30 agents bombarding you with DMs that were either appropriate or inappropriate. We hear
I've
both
heard a lot of
ways,
those too.
right? So, you know, when you look at the growth style that we've had versus anybody else even remotely close in our industry, we were able to do those and we were able to pivot fast and pivot early. There are so many
Okay.
great little stories as to some of the things that we did that even some others still haven't made those decisions. And there are other verticals Shawami has jumped in. The stories just continue to grow and we're just there. That's we're at this.
Isn't it? Isn't it nice to read the comments and someone saying thank you very much and you've helped us just by posting something or showing us how to do something. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I live for that stuff. I absolutely live for that stuff. Now, if you could explain to everybody what Shawami does,
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess that would have
that
helped
would be
everybody
helpful.
earlier on. So what Showami does is Showami helps real estate agents, property managers, and then data collectors with specifically with home showings and anything that they could utilize an agent to assist with. So what it is it's a program where essentially you can ask an agent to help show a home. Now, keep in mind all the BBA laws, all the things like that still apply. You still need buyer agency before you go to see a home and before that request goes out. So you send out the request, goes out to a few agents in the area. Somebody picks it up, shows the home. You keep your client, you keep your commission, but you also keep your schedule. You get to have a weekend as a real estate agent where you're not touring homes. So that's what helped Showami. That's sort of what the gist is. It became more complicated as we grew, obviously, when we get, property management and then these data collectors kind of coming in and doing these inspection requests that are very niche. It's that's where we're just growing and that's what we do.
Nice, very nice. It's awesome, and I like what you do because we have a closing and a girl had one of the agents had a kid. I'm like, okay, well, you need somebody else to cover, right? Then you go on Shawami and take care of it, and then you're all set. Like you said, you still keep the commission, and they get money for doing what they do, and you get to share. That's awesome. That is great because life happens. I'm sure you know that better than anybody.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of my listeners, when they our feedback is, they want to know what you do good and how could they do good at what you do.
Oh God.
I
Okay,
know.
so here's you if there's one thing I want any listener who's starting to business to learn to grasp is the law of attraction. Learn how to attract. I found that in both businesses and starting off, there's two ways you can go. You can sit down and cold call everybody in the area, and that's not attraction. That's you making the effort to make the push. You need to be attractive. You need to not like not physically attractive, but you need to
It
make it
helps.
attractive. You need to get it out there. You need to tell people what you do and keep growing it that way. Now, like cold calling and things like that, that's one element that could work for your business. But in all honesty, it still so solely relies on you to continue to grow it and get good at that. I found that the law of attraction being that element that stands out among competitors, among different businesses in your area, that is what's going to grow your business.
I like that. The law of attraction, traction for your business. So you want people to be attracted to you. That is brilliant. That is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, what is one of the every if you've been in business for more than a week, you've had challenges. What's one of your biggest challenges that you had to overcome in your career?
Oh my gosh. So it's this. always a fun one where it's like, what challenge? I remember the early days when we started Showami, and I remember almost probably we didn't get to 100 showings in a single month for almost 2 years. So you're talking about development money. You're talking about how hard it is to recruit agents sometimes, and then the demand. And you have to figure out, like, starting from Denver, Colorado, where we started, how do you go to other states? And I remember sitting down with the owner and just, the two of us sitting down and going, how are we going to expand to other states? And the just headaches and the money, how are we going to do this on a budget? And I have to say that sometimes, like, that little expansion plan is one of the hardest pieces, is to go from, how do you go from 5 agents to 100 agents to 200 agents? And
To
how
168 agents.
so hard. It was
So
hard. I remember
it's not hard if you do it on a budget. It's hard to do it on a shoestring budget.
on a startup budget.
Yes,
We are
absolutely.
self-funded, no VC money,
Wow.
100% self-funded company. So you're starting on it when we talk about razor thin budget, and we're talking about, we're still hiring developers, we're still working this thing. It was, thinking what strategy is going to work, and just having that. I remember the day we launched the ads in other states, and having that, like, gut going, God, if this doesn't work and we spend even $1,000, we're going to be rough. It's not going to look good. What are we going to do next? And having that feeling. So I remember those days. They still occasionally come when you have to go to the next level. You still have to take those huge risks.
That is true. There's a lot of people that don't take risk and they never succeed. And then there's a lot of people that take risk and get spanked a little bit. But the true entrepreneur takes the risk, takes the spankings, and keeps going.
Oh God, I remember, like, I remember doing an event where we lost thousands because it was one of those things where you risk. So we flew in our developer to come help us man this booth, do all this stuff, and it was not ideal for our market. Like, the amount of money that it was, the type of agents. It was, we spent probably 30,000-40,000 on this one campaign with booth and everything, and flying everybody out. And I don't think we still haven't made our ROI on that one. I will say, like, I've tried to milk that company everything we could get, some cash for, but yeah. You're going to make mistakes like that, but that's when you learn, okay, I'm never going to do this style of event. I need to realize that in order for me to be successful, it has to be this style.
What I've noticed most is sometimes it's not really the style, it's what event you're at. If you're going in my industry, we're in multifamily. If you go to a multifamily event and you're looking for people to invest in the properties, they just don't come because it's a multifamily event. You got to go to an investor's event and then have a booth there. So a lot of times it's the event with the right, how would you put the right draw?
Market. You're looking
the traction, the attraction to you. That's a great one. As a matter of fact, that's what the label of this podcast is going to be: attraction.
Law of attraction.
It's true. It's 100%
we'll keep coming back to it because it really is a huge center point to growth, is once you get that point of attraction. And then there's all kinds of fun, like making sure you stand out when you're at a convention and not just
that's what I'm talking about, the standout.
Anybody who's listening, I'm wearing an orange suit. I want you to know this. It stands out. We did this at our very first event. We did subliminal messaging before for like literally 4 weeks. We were sending emails to our current users, letting them know that we're going to this event. I had a picture of me in an orange suit. Woman comes up to me and says, I brought an orange dress just to take a photo with you. And I was like,
nice.
This is working. And people came up and they take photos. And so when you're thinking about what you're doing at an event, make it worth it. Remember, you want to attract people. You want to stand out. You got to be uncomfortable sometimes. And trust me, when I put my developer in an orange suit, he wasn't the most comfortable.
Especially developers.
Yeah. He's great. He's actually great when it comes to booth stuff. He's a great conversationalist, but you can tell, the discomfort a little bit like I'm standing out. This
I'm
is my
standing out.
thing.
I'm completely okay with that, but I can understand how people aren't. I in the law of attraction, there's always, you got this procedure you have to do for law of attraction. And one big part of it is you got to speak into existence. And
Yes.
I find
Yeah.
the speaking part that, I'm plentiful, I'm abundant, everything's, and I find that one of the hardest things to do. I can think it all day long, but for me, the speaking is tough.
Mm.
And I do public speaking too, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But to speak positivity, it's hard. And then after a while, it gets easier and easier and easier, and then everything comes into place.
Yeah.
Sounds like things are going really well for your business. That's awesome. From like 2 to 165,000. That's amazing. Looking forward to the future. Now that you're going to end up making money. What do you do with your income? This is where investing comes in. What do you do with your money when you make some money? Do you pack it away? Do you put it into new markets, or do you save some of it?
So a lot of what we've done is definitely reinvested back in the company. So when you start
Yeah.
making it, then you start saying, okay, well, if I start increasing ad spend, do I start seeing an ROI? Oh, we do. We see more agents being onboarded because I will be honest, like there was probably a good 2 years where we actually lowered ad spend versus the year that when I went full time here. And so there was just different strategies going on. We were trying some in-person events. That's when you get to have fun. When you start having the money to play around, trying new things it gets a lot of fun as your marketing team. As the owner of the company, he'll tell you, he's like, oh, it's a lot of fun when we get to try these and see what works and what doesn't work. We even tried hiring a salesperson, tried that.
How
We've
did that work out for you?
It didn't. We
Good,
actually
bad, and different. So that one was a bad.
okay, guys. I guess this is great for all your listeners to know this, especially because we're a software company. At the heart of what we do, it's a lot of software. One of the things that we learned with hiring a salesperson was people just wanted to spin off their accounts and talk to nobody. They wanted to go on our website, hit that form button, and be able to just do requests. We were only utilizing them for specific account types in Showami. So there
Okay.
usually it was a broker, property managers, and any like extra types of accounts. We get a lot of different wholesalers, different activity that comes on. It kind of works with us. So,
Wholesalers,
yep, condition reports. That's what they're looking for.
condition reports. Please, I've so explain a wholesaler in your
Awesome.
world. Pardon?
Yes. So that we've got a couple of them that have actually utilized Showami. The way they're utilizing it is in areas where it might be like outside of their reach. They're asking agents to go and take photos of the property. Either maybe the person who listed the property absolutely sucked at their job taking photos, so they're asking for those. Plus, they want the knit and grit photos, the ones that's like, oh, there's like a busted pipe down below, or there's a there's a metal rod sticking out of the grass. So they want like the agents to give them not
They're
just the photos, but a little bit of like a condition report saying, if this thing were to go live, what needs to be fixed. So
right.
you kind
The
of get
the
like a
reason
two for one.
the reason I asked that, we have a flipping company and we deal a
Oh,
lot with
yeah.
wholesalers. I was wondering how I could recommend my wholesalers in Michigan and Florida, Shawami, because they always take pictures. They always typically work in their own markets and go out to the properties. But if they find some in another state, this is a great way of, like you said, keeping your commission and having that, somebody else come out and take all the pictures. And we ask for generally around 100 pictures in a house. If we're going to buy a house, we want to see it. First, we want to see it in 100 pictures and some videos if they can do that. And then we'll go out and take a look at the property before we buy it and then fix it up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great. That
But
it's an
even
it's
getting like an agent perspective, could you imagine something that you're not getting from the person that's actually listing their home? All you're gonna get from that person is just a couple snapshots. But an agent that's actually gonna walk through and like a lot of the wholesalers will ask for that little extra bit, and they'll give them, their sort of vision of what could be different.
I might have, you ever go into RIA groups and do some public speaking?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, you might want to do that. Because
Okay.
RIA groups, have a lot of wholesalers in there. I could recommend you to one in Michigan.
It's not
Um,
a huge part of our business. It's just a
right.
part, but it's been growing. So
So anybody can. I'm a builder, so I could call you up and say, or sign up, and then say, hey, I need pictures of this small apartment complex.
So with wholesalers, they're licensed. So that's
Okay.
why they're able to get those requests through. They'll use a licensed account to push all of that through. Unlicensed activity, we still have very, very strong barriers to as to what you're utilizing us for.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Um, well, that's awesome. This has been a great interview. I love your marketing aspect. The law of attraction's huge, works out great. You just gotta apply it. And I really do appreciate this. Wrapping up, what exciting plans you have for the next 6 to 12 months for Showami?
Oh gosh. So I kind of alluded to, but we are actually opening up like another channel of Showami, which is that sort of data collection. So that's really coming in the next few months here, really becoming its own program. Right now, we have a lot of people utilizing us for that. We have a lot of
Right.
people utilizing us for those inspections, but we said, okay, let's actually like work on that. We also are working on better onboarding. So as I kind of talked about the salesperson role, we're saying, okay, let's take another step back and figure out how we're going to fully automate these special types of accounts in Showami that we're getting at, being introduced to for utilization. So over the next 6 months, that's a lot of our growth. And then I get an intern. I guess that's the
You
other.
get an intern.
So we're hiring on an intern hopefully in the next week or two, and I'm really excited because they're going to be very heavy on a lot of demos for Showami. So we still found that even though you might want to go through the process on your own, you're going to have questions or you're going to want somebody else to still like walk you through it possibly. So we've created it where it's, you're going to walk and you're going to create your account, but you could still schedule a demo. And that's where that account manager slash intern is going to kind of come into play.
Nice. Well, yeah, I highly recommend teaching somebody.
Yes.
I'm a martial artist, and when you get to black belt, you got to start teaching. And that
Hmm.
makes you a better martial artist when you teach. So in business, I do the same thing. When I get to a certain level, I want someone right behind me showing them how to do that. And I said, I want you to be me. Can you do it? Sometimes they say, no, I can't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go running, and then come into work by 8 o'clock and then do the stuff you do till 8 o'clock at night. Okay, cool. That's fine. But I'm looking for the guy that can do what I want to do, to be what I am. And
Yes.
they sit there and really kind of, it's fun to show people. It really is. And I hope the best for your intern because he's gonna love
Oh
working
yeah.
with you.
We're so
Um,
excited.
I
I'm
yeah.
so excited. I'm excited. I
Yeah,
need
you should
I
be.
need
You
to
should
have
be.
there's a few reasons. Like we're really trying to get bigger accounts and take on different tasks and different marketing strategies that we just can't do based off of volume alone. So
Have you ever considered a VA?
we have we've attempted a VA before for this
Uh-huh.
type of position, and there's something a little bit nicer to have an in-house person is going to end up bringing a
Absolutely.
better touch. I think, especially with demos, and especially with it, I should warn people, don't name your company something like Showami. You will get confused all the time for food dishes. You get confused for a company that's not US based. When I joke, like I told, we talked about cold calling earlier. I will tell you right now, we tried probably 20 different scripts, but the minute that you say my company is Showami, it goes click. They assume that
Really?
I'm not from the US.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, show Ami. That makes sense. Or show me.
Show Ami, and so show being, like to show a home, but
Showing.
Ami being friend in either, like a French language.
I got you. All right, cool. All right. I'll take that as a note too.
So yeah,
Show
when you're
me.
branding your company and you're thinking about names, think about what you can call people with. I guess is a great way to think about it. But but it stood out. It's still a very like a unique name. So we've been able to grow it as a brand. Don't be afraid to go for like a name like Showami. I just say to keep it sounding as like efficient as possible for like a US company.
Right. I get you. It's a great name. It makes sense to me, but I could see how initially it would sound like an Asian dish.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it like that, but yeah, I could see it. Hey, listen, thank you very much. We appreciate your time and your insights. That's huge. You've given us a lot of great information. And for the viewers, if they have any questions, could they reach out to you? Can you give an email, a phone number, or how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way to get a hold of me is going to be on LinkedIn. Believe it or not, I am very active on LinkedIn. So go ahead, shoot me a connection request. Let me know that you came from the Unscripted Success podcast so that I know who you are or why you're reaching out to me.
That's
And
helpful.
I'd love to have those discussions. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Sounds good. Hey, thanks for everything, and we really appreciate your time here. Want to let everybody go, and if you guys have any questions, please contact Josh. He's probably the king of marketing for Fort Myers, and maybe they can come out and see you in Fort Myers. Is you have a home office, or you got an office out there?
No, I'm in a home office.
Okay,
Yes,
well
we don't
then
have
go have
no
lunch with this guy.
office, but I'm always up for if you want to go on a fishing trip on the weekend or golf.
Nice. What do you like catching?
Typical Fort Myersian.
Nice. I love the Gulf of America. Hey, listen, thank you very much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Michael Menino on Unscripted Success and Josh. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.